What is up, everybody? As you see, I got my two masks on like a lot of clowns do in LA, but as it turns out the only really useful mask for COVID is these N95 masks, and you got to keep replacing these, as well as masks like these. But listen to her say cloth masks are basically useless. I'm gonna let the experts speak.
We should be keeping the events that are safe and also the events that have fun for people too. We can't be canceling everything, especially if we're going to be living with COVID for the foreseeable future. I would say that if you choose to go, make sure that you're vaccinated and boosted. Make sure that you're wearing a mask, even though it's outdoors. If there are lots of people packed around you, wearing a 3-ply surgical mask. Don't wear a cloth mask. Cloth masks are little more than facial decorations. There's no place.
Now they're making a pivot saying cloth masks are nothing more than facial decorations. That's a pretty big pivot from last year where if you didn't wear a mask, like you were still considered a bad person. And the thing is, the vast majority of people I see in LA are not wearing like these kind of masks. They're wearing cloth masks. So basically, they're just contradicting and contradicting themselves now. But yeah.
Place for them in light of Omicron. And so wear a high quality mask, at least a 3-ply surgical mask. And if you're going to be visiting elderly relatives or immunocompromised people after, wait 3 days, get tested, and then...
Yeah, they're making a big pivot now. They don't want to get back to lockdowns because that's going to crash the economy. And the reason why, like if this is during the Trump years, they're going to push for a lockdown. But seeing like the economic numbers of the Biden admin ain't that good, they're trying to make a pivot from saying like cloth masks are useless. They basically are. They've been. The information's been out there for the last year or so, but most people in California don't really pay attention to anything. So yeah, as you see, since April of 2020, cloth masks. There's so much information on this, but people don't really do research on both sides, and it said for the last year or so, cloth masks are useless against COVID. And the thing is, like, most people don't really clean their cloth masks, so they're getting like a lot of dirt in the mask. Look at this mask right here. Like this N95 mask has hair in it, so it's already infected. You gotta like change these masks all the time. A lot of people like keep wearing the mask for like keeping these masks on for like a couple of days. And another factor about these masks is like they're bad for the environment because I see a lot of these masks on the ground. So seriously, like environmental folks, like don't y'all see like wearing a mask is bad for like your environmental agenda? I swear, man, I don't really get these mask codes, man. Like the information's been out there for a year, and like this expert's saying, what we're seeing is a lot of magical thinking, a lot of wishful thinking. Cloth masks are wishful thinking, and those are the majority of masks worn by the populace. At least outside where I live at in Hollywood, part of LA. But yeah, as you see, like this is a expert on disease, and she'll tell you straight up that cloth masks are useless against COVID-19. Now they're finally making the pivot after a year or so. But no, this wasn't the message last year. No. They trying to like really push like masks are useless now because like yeah, the economy is looking bad. Like it's not looking good for the current admin. But last year they was pushing people wearing masks just to basically separate the vaccinated from the vaccinated. But now like the vaccinated spreading COVID. Like oh no, it's time to pivot. Yeah, basically wearing a mask was the virtue signal to show like you wasn't a Republican. For the most part of thinking in California it was. But let's listen to this expert.
Editor of Infection Control Today. We're helping infection preventionists and other healthcare workers fighting COVID-19. And one of the ways we're doing that is touching base with experts. With me today is Dr. Leana Wen. Even when it means going against the grain. Dr. Brousseau recently co-wrote an opinion piece that stirred a bit of controversy. Why? Well, here's the title. Masks for All, COVID-19, not based on sound data. In it, Dr. Brousseau argues, I'll let you sum it up from here, Doctor. What's the gist of the opinion piece?
So the article started out with the goal of trying to look at the literature related to cloth masks in healthcare. And and then it got expanded way beyond that to cloth masks and surgical masks and respirators, and for healthcare and for the community. So it was a much more comprehensive than I expected it to be. It took me a little longer to write, but at the end of the day, I was looking at cloth masks and surgical masks and respirators from several points of view. First of all, for healthcare and community, but also, do they work as source control or do they work as personal protective equipment, or both? And at the end of the day, cloth masks, in my opinion, don't work in any form. They aren't very good at source control.
She said that back in April 2020, which is pretty close to 2 years ago, which was ignored by the mass audience because of CNN. I mean, folks like CNN, basically censoring this information. This information was censored. It was absolutely censored, but she said this in April 2020, and now, like, they're flipping the script, like, don't wear a cloth mask, or little more than facial decorations. There's no place in like, now the expert they trust, who's on, like, what, CNN, or what, is this still, like, the most trusted name in news? No. And now they're making a pivot because this is affecting the vaccinated too. Because the whole point of wearing a mask, like most folks, is like it was basically theater. It was basically theater because I don't want to be seen. If you listen to her TED Talk, it's basically a lot of folks' logic for wearing masks is like, I don't want to be seen as a Republican. I didn't want to be seen as a bad person. I want to be seen as a good person. That's just a lot of these folks' minds out here in California. Like, they just want to be seen as a good person, but not really want to do anything. It's all virtue signaling. That's all it was at the end of the day. It was just nothing but just virtue signaling. And now, as the facts come closer to home, it's like, oh yeah, we got to make a pivot. These cloth masks aren't really helpful. It's just facial decorations. It's just theater. It's just safety theater. There's no reason to wear them. Oh, ain't that some fun? So, give me your take on this video. Give me like you feel what this video is saying. And dislike if you don't feel what this video is saying. And please subscribe.